What's going on, movie fans? Welcome to MovieRounders.com, the world's first 360-degree movie review site. That's Daniel, Tony, Bethany, and I am Matt. We are here to review Ford versus Ferrari. So we're going to start with Tony. What did you think?
Best movie of the year, easily. I enjoyed it. The action was good. The acting was great. There were some actors and actresses I'm not familiar with that were in this movie that knocked it out of the park. Some young ones, the wife of Christian Bale, amazing. I loved everything about it. It was a great history lesson. There's a lot of stuff I didn't know. I knew a little bit about the concept of Ford versus Ferrari, but I didn't go back and research it. So it was a lot of neat stuff to learn. There's some things that happen in the movie I'm not going to say that at the end were kind of, it was part of history. So that's kind of how it went. But I loved every bit of it.
All right, Daniel.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, normally movies that are non-fiction really bore me to death. Like real life movies, awful. I hate movies that are based on real life because real life is boring, in my opinion. So I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. I loved everything about it. I love the color, the grain, the grain of the film, the stylization, the props, the sets. Everything was set like in 1966, 1965, that time. And they really captured that moment. They captured the essence of hardworking people and people with ethics and corruption and the whole. I mean, I get into all that kind of stuff, and it really did capture the essence of these characters, and I just thought it was brilliant. So, please go see it.
Bethany?
I loved it. The cast for me is mostly what sold this movie. I mean, I'll watch most car movies. I shouldn't, because I'm one of those people that when I watch a car movie, I leave it and I feel like I can drive that fast, but my car does not go that fast, and I can't drive that well. I can drive good. I never had an accident, but that well, no, can't do that. So I shouldn't watch these movies, but I'll do anyways. No, I really enjoyed it. The cast for me, like I said, is what sold it. Everybody brought their A game. The chemistry between Matt Damon and Christian Bale is off the charts. Those two play off each other so well. The lady who plays Christian Bale's wife, I don't want to say her name. I think it's Catriona Bale. She's Irish, I believe. I know like the first name is kind of right. The pronunciation might be off, but she's great in there, especially like playing the wife of someone who is this kind of hot-headed racer, but he's not like your hot-headed racer like you got in Rush with the Chris Hemsworth, Daniel Bruhl movie. He's not that kind of hot-headed in this. He's a family man. He's just hot-headed too at the same time, but he knows what he's doing and he's great. He's not a playboy. And then mostly I also came to this movie for John Bernthal, I'll watch anything for him. I think he's underrated. Like I'll like lead the like petition on that one, like put him in more like top tier movies and everything, get him out there. But yeah, everybody in this movie, especially bootleg Bradley Cooper, Josh Lucas, he did great as your man versus man antagonist there. He really made you want to punch him in the face throughout the entire 2.5 hours the movie ran, which again, like Dr. Sleep, doesn't feel like it's 2.5 hours. So,
I enjoyed the movie too. I know nothing about cars. You put the two in front of me and I couldn't tell you which one was which. I really don't care about cars whatsoever. But I care about the movie and plot lines and storylines and acting. That's what I love most about movies. And this had everything nailed down to a T. I didn't feel like I was watching Matt Damon and Christian Bale. I felt like I was watching Shelley and Kevin Miles, these two people I didn't know, and really got into their story. The family aspect was great. I love that he was hot-headed, but he was able, to transition towards the end and how historical accurate the movie was and everything. I got a little upset. I know it's historically accurate, but I got a little upset at the end. It's like when I went in and watched Secretariat, and I'm like, is this horse going to win the Triple Crown? And on the edge of my seat, and then at the end, I'm like, oh, this horse just destroyed everybody. So, yeah, climactic thing. I was waiting, for that big climax at the end, but I understand you're following historical accuracy, so we're good there. But that didn't take anything away from the movie, other than it built me up the whole time. It doesn't feel 2.5 hours long, like you said. But this is a really well done movie. I love James Mangold, the director. He's great, fantastic at a lot of things. I was surprised not to see Hugh Jackman in here somewhere, because he loves working with him. But overall, it's a great movie for me. And Tony, you said best movie of the year, so What stars are you giving it here?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to glean from this. There's a scene where at the end where he pulls out and he's going down the street, and you see how more advanced these cars were than the average car of that era. And it's easy to forget these guys were pushing the limit when it came to what cars could do. They were pushing it in performance, but they're also pushing it in design and style. I mean, the things they do with these design cues on these cars back then still carry forward to today. I mean, it's amazing to see how much they were pushing. And there's a really big line in that movie about how you're lucky if you get to do the job that isn't feel like a job, it feels like it's playing. But then he said, but you're really lucky, or maybe not, if you find your passion. And it was neat to see how they kind of pushed this and told that. So for me, it was all stars. I'm giving this a 5.
5 stars from Tony. Daniel.
Okay. Well, to me, the biggest part of what I got out of this was the friendship between Carroll Shelby and Ken Miles. You know, to me, that dynamic, it's almost like they were soulmates, you know. And you ever had that friend who was just kind of a little rough around the edges? They were so talented and you were so proud of them. They had just so much potential, but if they could just soften up just a little bit around people, you know, they would probably have a little bit easier life. It was kind of like that sort of dynamic where you're like, oh God, he's just trying to help this guy, you know. I mean, they could do such great things together if they would just kind of like, you know. So to me, I really got a lot out of that friendship, you know, that they had together, the camaraderie. It's almost like they were soulmates, you know, and I just love that part of it. It was just really a lot of fun. So I agree. I mean, to me, it was a perfect movie. You know, it had everything I wanted. I don't feel like it left anything out as far as telling the story. I don't think anybody was, you know, focused on the right people at the right time, and it told the story of all this amazing stuff that was happening. So I have to give it a 5 as well. So.
Bethany.
Yeah, I'll go straight out and say 5 stars. I saw this movie twice in about a 48-hour span, and then after you guys finished watching the movie, Tony Kim was like, I can see why you came and watched this a second time. It's a great movie. I don't think there's anything that I can complain about. I don't know too much about cars. If I took my dad to see this movie, he'd probably find something. He's a car junkie, unfortunately, and like for him, none of his kids are. But no, it's a great overall movie. It's got great storytelling, acting, just everything looks amazing. The race scenes too, because I had someone ask me like, are the race scenes good? They're superb, because race scenes can be bad. They're not hard to get right, but people get them wrong. And these ones just knocked it out of the park with everything that goes on. It really plays up the danger at times and how things could just go wrong in a second with, you know, when they're starting out the race and there's like 3 or 4 cars that just slam into each other in front of him, and he's like, learn to drive, you know, that sort of thing. So not in those words. He has much more colorful language. Yes. But yeah, no, 5 stars for this one.
And I'm gonna go ahead 4 stars. It's not the best that I've seen all year, but it's definitely up there. Great plotline, great acting. I loved everything about it, and me not being a car person, I was waiting for cars to fall out of airplanes, you know, like parachutes. The Fast and Furious. No. No. I love this a lot more. A lot more heart to it, and just to see how they built that, you know, back in the 60s, and trying to. And when I was first watching it, and they were talking about Le Mans racing for 24 hours straight, I was thinking, man, who's going to stay up for 24 hours and race this car? And then I found they switch out drivers, and I was like, would have made it more difficult if you just raced for 24 hours. So, but overall, loved the movie. It was good. 4 stars. So, is this your favorite car movie now, Tony?
I don't know if I had a favorite car movie, but yeah, right now for sure this is. It's like you made the mention about the Fast and the Furious and stuff like that. There's stuff that's just over the top, and those things make a lot of money. But these guys told a historically accurate story and did it in a way that was interesting all the way through. And that's great storytelling to me.
So. I mean, anybody can watch it too, because it's one of the things like Fast and Furious, you kind of got to be into that genre for it. So it's not always interesting to everybody. But this one, like, anybody could sit down and watch this movie and be like, okay, like, yeah, I'm really rooting for this guy, because you want Ken Miles to succeed the whole time. Like, you're rooting for him, especially when he finally gets to Le Mans and things are just going wrong left and right, and then he's like getting it together and he's going and going and going. Like, yeah, no, this movie is just pretty much perfect.
The Ken Miles character that Bales had to play, it's a quirky character, a complicated quirky character to pull off. and he nails it so well. It could
Yeah.
have come off so hokey.
He could have gone like really hokey with it. He could have gone way too hot-headed, but he makes this perfect blend of this guy who's never really played by anybody else's rules. He does life his own way, but he has a family and he does want to succeed and make his son proud of him. And so he's working really hard to do that. But at the same time, he's getting shortchanged by these people that he knows are going to do it to him. And he's got to bust it to prove that he is deserving of this opportunity. And he has a great line like, minor spoiler, you didn't promise me the win, you promised me the ride. And you can see like just how much he's grown as a person throughout this 2.5-hour story, which actually covers several years in the 60s.
Yep. Just good to a fault. Some people are so good and they're good to a fault. You may not like them, but they're honest and they're true to themselves. They don't bend. And that's, to me, the kind of people you want on your team. People that are going to be solid. And Ken was solid. Say whatever you want. He was who he was.
Another neat thing was Ken was human, had flaws and not. Ford was human, had great things, had flaws. Every character and every entity in this, Ferrari, all had great things and all had negative things.
I don't think Phoebe had anything good in him.
I didn't like him.
So yeah, that
villain.
dude played a perfect.
He was great. No offense on the bootleg Bradley Cooper thing. They no bones on the guy. He busted
That's a good
it.
actor.
From the
for
marketing
the-
side, like we do, do you really want Ken Miles to be the face of your franchise? That's what he was
Exactly.
most worried
So,
about.
Yeah.
so that was my point. There were things that were negative and positive about every single one of these guys, but in the end, you still ended up rooting for all of them except that guy.
Except for him. You didn't want him to succeed because he just kind of he shows up and he's just there to ruin your day. Because it wasn't at the same time, it wasn't marketing. It was he had an issue with Ken, like a personal issue from their first interaction from the get-go. They just didn't mesh, and that's one of the flaws of Ken's character. So yeah,
You got to see this movie. It's
Even the
great.
guy that's playing, Henry Ford II,
Yeah.
a lot of flaws. But also you could see he was still passionate about it. And there's a scene where he literally breaks down saying he wishes his father could have experienced what he just did. So, I mean, there was flaws, but good sides. And that's, to me, is great storytelling that you end up still rooting for everyone in it. So
Yeah.
Well, there you go, fans. As you can see, it's better than Cars 2. And in case you were wondering what Tua is going to do after his hip injury, he's going to review movies with us right here.
I'm gonna give him my hip. I got 2 of them. I don't need them. They pop out of place, but he can have them.
All right. Have you seen Ford vs. Ferrari? If you have, let us know in the comments below what you thought. As always, follow us here at MovieRounders.com, where we review the movie and you control the camera.